Hey everyone, in this video we're going to be installing a larger 8-inch infotainment screen on my Mk7 Golf. So today I have a brand new 8-inch gloss finish infotainment screen we're going to be installing in place of the small stock screen that came on my 2017 Golf SportWagen Model S, the lowest trim model, so it had, less bells and whistles. This is a direct swap. It's a super easy install and a fairly cost-effective one as well. But it's important to note that before you get started with this, that's not the case for every Mk7 model. Certain years and certain models don't have the standard equipment to make it nearly as simple and easy as what you're going to see here in this video. I'm no expert on what years and models and trims require the additional costs and install process, but there's a super easy way to check before you get started. What your car needs to have is the MIB2 Discover Media brain. It's a unit that sits right in your glove box and runs your entire system. So just open up your glove box and take a quick look. If your car has it in there, boom, it's easy. If not, and you still want to do this upgrade, you'll need to also buy and install this brain. The brain is not cheap, and the install of that is not easy, at least from what I've heard. Now let's take a quick look at the differences between each of the screens. The main differences are simply a larger display. The original is 6.5 inches, and this new one is 8 inches. The old screen has a matte finish with physical buttons, and the new one has a really slick gloss finish and digital buttons outside of the two physical knobs for volume and tuning. The new screen also has an app button that takes me straight to CarPlay super quick, which wasn't the case on the last screen. If I remember, I had to go to phone and then click the little icon at the bottom if I ever exited CarPlay while I was using it to look at car settings or things like that. Now, if you want to tackle this project, there's a couple ways to go about getting the parts that are needed. You can go a la carte and pick up the new unit and the trim that you'll need to fit that new unit, let's say at a junkyard or on eBay with just a little bit of searching if you have the right part numbers. It's really not that hard and they're easy to find. And you'll likely save a good chunk of money if you do this. Roughly what I was saying was 50 to 75% of the cost of what I ended up spending. I was considering this and then I ended up going the route of simplicity and convenience. So I went through Eurozone Tuning. And no, this video is not sponsored by Eurozone Tuning. They're just a great supplier with lots of options in this category. Eurozone Tuning carries a wide range of different configurations with different types of screens that work in the Mk7, both with navigation and without. And then you get to go and choose the color trim you need to match your existing interior. They also give you the option to have it come with new vents, or you can reuse the existing vents that you have from your car. And if there's no issues, I'd suggest reusing the vents you have in your car. Saves you a little bit of money. After you're done customizing your kit and you place your order, they pack it all up and send it to you in a nice little package. You can even add trim removal tools, and they give you the tools that you'll need to remove the radio or the display. So this decision of which route to go was extremely easy for me because this upgrade was completely viewer supported. So thank you to everyone who, after my last video I shared regarding the integrated engineering intake lid and sharing my partnership with that, you went out and you made a purchase on their website using my promo code, and you saved 10% by using that code, Dadwagon. The proceeds I received from that were enough to make this purchase. So with that and the fact that Eurozone Tuning was running a sale, I was able to get the non-navigation screen I needed along with the trim that fit my car with the brushed aluminum for $399. So thanks for the support and for the upgraded infotainment system. All right, so that's enough talking about it. Let's start the install. All right, the first step is to remove the bezel that is covering your infotainment system and those upper vents. For me, I had 3M adhesived a little charger onto mine, so I was using that as a grab point versus using some pry tools, but you'll see I grabbed those here in a second. So once I lifted the bottom piece, which you may be able to do with your fingers anyways without a pry tool, I then started to work the pry tool around the edges. And at first I was trying to stop the vents from coming out, but that whole vent unit should come out as one piece. And I apologize as we go through here. I should have locked my focus on the unit, and we have a bunch of blurry shots, but you're still able to tell what's going on. So now I'm removing the hazard light, which comes out pretty easily. I just use my fingers to pull it out. And then there are two connectors behind it. One has a simple tab to pull out, and the other one has the red style tab that Volkswagen uses, where you have to pull it out and then depress it. So I'm going to put those cords through and remove the entire bezel. So here are the tools that are provided. There's 4 of them in the kit when you buy this. If you don't buy a kit, you'll definitely need these. It's the only way to get the radio out. You'll shove them in the 4 slots that you'll be able to see. There's 2 above and 2 below the radio. As you're using them, it's pretty easy to tell what direction they have to go in. You'll be able to tell if it's doing anything as you're sliding it in there. And once they're all in place, you can slowly lift the unit out. Before you pull it out too far, there are 2 cables connected to the back of it. Both of them have a simple lever that you have to depress and then slightly wiggle them out of place. Alright, so I brought the unit inside. That way it would be easier to record and see what I was doing and how to remove these vents. So there's simple locking tabs that go all around the vents. Pick one side to start with, and then I used a screwdriver. I also had a pick available to slowly lift those away and then work my way around the vents in order to get them to be removed. Obviously, depending on what you're doing with the bezel afterwards, you don't necessarily have to be super careful with getting it out. The one thing you do want to maintain is the silver piece of trim that you will be transferring from this bezel to the new one. So I didn't get it on camera, but this little silver piece of trim is not clipped in at all once you remove the vent. It simply removes from the previous spot. You can place it on the new bezel. And then choose one side of your vents to lock into place first. And then you're going to carefully and somewhat forcefully in some spots move around the edge of this bezel and make sure all of the clips get locked around the vents. Alright, just for fun, I wanted to see what it was going to look like once it was in the car, make sure that everything was right before moving outside. So now take your new display and grab the 2 connectors behind. They should be direct fits. Go ahead and just press them into place. And once you have them both connected, you can lightly press the new screen into place and it automatically locks. Super easy. Now, I should add here, before even attempting putting this new bezel on, I would recommend removing the trim that's covering the climate control space, because you'll see I do it later, and we'll talk about it again there. So now I'm working the wires for the hazard lights to come up and through the vents, and now I'm slowly starting near the driver's side and locking the trim into place and making sure the vents are all the way inserted. It does take a little bit of work to make sure the vents get all the way seated properly to where they are supposed to go. Now that the vents are all the way in, I'm going to start to move down towards the screen area. And I lock in everything up until the toggle switches, but you'll realize here I'm running into the point where I need to remove that climate control trim in order to get those lower tabs in place. And then you'll see here in just a second, it's super easy to place that climate control trim back on once everything's locked in. And the final step is replacing the hazard switch up top. Simply connect the 2 connectors, make sure you push in the red tab on the top one, and then slide it back into place. Now it's time to test it out. After starting the car, I give it a couple seconds. I use a wireless CarPlay setup, so that takes a second to connect. But overall, the screen looks great. It's super responsive, and obviously since this is a stock part or OEM part, it works as it should. Now, I did want to zoom in and show you this, and this could be due to the fact that this is a new trim piece versus my 2017 trim pieces. The color isn't exact. It doesn't bug me a crazy amount, but I did want to point that out for those that are ordering the brushed aluminum. I'm guessing that's one of the harder ones to replicate. And it is a newer feature that Eurozone Tuning has. So just something to note if you're looking at this product. All right, so as I mentioned during the intro, this install was super beginner friendly, especially if you have the right tools for trim removal. It's important to be firm yet delicate when removing any trim pieces within a Mk7, but once you get the hang of it, they all come out pretty easy once you know what you're doing. The unit itself works and fits perfectly, and so far I'm really enjoying the new screen size. Even though the screen is just 1.5 inches bigger, at these small sizes, that's almost 25% larger, so it feels like a lot more when you're sitting inside the car. And although I haven't really looked into it, the glossy screen at least appears like it has higher resolution overall, but that might just be my purchase justification kicking in and enjoying my new purchase. So if you're looking for some interior modification to have a little fun with and enhance your daily driving experience, I'd say this is a pretty great option. And it doesn't matter whether you source the components yourself or take the easy route like I did, purchasing from Eurozone Tuning and getting a ready-to-go kit. So that's going to wrap this up, and thank you for watching. And don't forget, if you're after any performance parts or tuning solutions, hit up Integrated Engineering and use my promo code Dadwagon to continue to support this channel and to get 10% off. See you guys soon.